This video will demonstrate how to append data onto an array. This is actually a very simple process, but it will give us an opportunity to discuss a few extra things related to arrays and related to managing them. So we'll go ahead and take our first step here into our original operation as we did before. When we first start out with main, before we take our first steps into it, we really don't have any data stored or requested, and we're not going to do that until the array is actually declared. When we declare the array, this is an array of doubles here, and we'll have max test scores. This is the capacity. We'll discuss a little bit more in a moment. And we have 10 items here, and it is, as we saw before in the previous video, it's fairly uncommon to have zeros or there's never going to be nothing. There has to be something in there because the memory bits are either on or off. Now once we go ahead and load this up, we're going to put some data values into the array. Put 92.5, 88.6, and so on. And if you ever do this, it's pretty uncommon that you actually hard code or load numbers into your program like this. But there are some circumstances, and in which case you will do this with curly brace here, and the numbers delimited by commas, and a curly brace and a semicolon. So this is one way to load it. So our next step here then is, once we have loaded these on here, then what we need to do is we need to see how we're going to go ahead and append a value onto the end. And all we mean by appending is adding it to the end of the list. Now I'll go ahead and jump into the code part so we can talk about the list. Our list is a size of 5. It has 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all the items that we stored purposely. We did this on the beginning of our program. We stored these data items into the program. Now, key point, this is very, very important. When we get started on this, before the program even runs, we will have the max test scores set at 10. So there are 10 items available to be stored in. This is a capacity, but not what we call a size. The size is different. The capacity simply means I have 10 buckets that I can put double values in this particular case, when I declared that array with max test scores. So I just wanted to point this out. This is capacity, and that is as opposed to what we call size. Size is how many active values, how many values we put in there that are legitimate values. And again, there's going to be all kinds of values in these arrays as the programs run and so on. We only care about the ones we put in it. As we mentioned previously in another video, you could zero out all these array components, but in many cases that's simply not necessary. So we have a capacity of 10, a size of 5, and all it means is we're just carrying along some extra data items here we don't care about. They're not doing us any harm or any problem. Now the really fun thing about this, if we recall here, I have five items in here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we know, as we've seen before, that the last element in size 5 is always n-1, so it will be index 4. So it turns out the very next available element in any array is the element at size. And so it will always be, because size itself is not in your array, but it will become the next available element if that is in fact what you need to have. You can never use size in a given array that already has data in it. That will go outside the boundaries. And I might add, if you used your max test scores, that actually goes completely outside the boundaries, because in an array of 10, the highest index could only be 9, as you can see down at the bottom here. So anyway, we have a size of 5. We're going to go ahead and we're going to actually add that value at the location of size, which is an index of 5. We're going to assign the 98.6 to that, and when we do that, we'll put that value in that element at index 5, size 5 there. But of course now we have 6 items. We have all the way across the ones we had, plus we've added one, so we need to go ahead and increment size. And we'll make size plus plus. That will increment size to 6. which is again the actual count of the items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But as we notice, it's also the element that's immediately above our array, and if we have to append another item, we will simply locate it at the size index again. So that's a handy little tool that's easy to use, and in fact, as you can see, with 3 or 4 lines of code, we can do an append to any array that we're working on. So this will wrap it up. It is fairly simple as it's noted there. We have a straightforward process of appending, which is simply to add on a new value at the end of the array, and then from there we have our data added in, but we also have to update our size so that we keep track of how many items. As you remember, our size, all the array has all this data in it, but it only matters the ones we want to see. We always have to keep track of the size to know exactly what we're going to be into there. So we'll go ahead and finish this video up. Again, it's not very long, but it is an opportunity to talk about a couple of critical points, being the capacity and the size. Capacity is what you declare it for originally. That's how many elements it could hold. The size is how many it is actually holding that you are interested in. And we don't care about all the other garbage values beyond where we're working. But when we add our data in there, we are most interested in working with those items. In the case we started with, we had 5 items, and we ended it with 6 items. Those are the values we entered, and they're the values that we're going to want to come back to when we want to, say, display this list, or calculate an average, or find a high or a low, or whatever we're going to do. So with that in mind, we will go ahead and finish up this video, and we'll look to continue on with our array learning.